Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV, home of Talking Heads. And a big shout out to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio out of New York. Hi, Chris Roberts. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the listening mentor. And that is our program for today, where we bring tips to you about how to be a more effective listener, how to find inner peace, and be part of our mission to create world peace. Today, I am very excited to welcome a good friend and an elevated listener, Caroline Heward. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
So good to see you again. It's been a while.
It has. I'm sorry. I've taken a little bit of a break and well-deserved and needed, but I'm pleased and delighted to be back here.
Well, Caroline, we're pleased to have you. And before we get into our program, I just want to share with people that Caroline has accomplished so much in her own right. And she took the time to sign up for the power of listening to become an elevated listener. So I really appreciate that. And I think it's important for our audience to know, because personally and professionally, you really care. You lead with your heart. And in addition to that, you are an excellent listener. So people want to work with you because you give them a safe space. So thank you for doing that.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. And it's absolutely my heart's desire to be in that space for everyone.
And I think when it comes to listening, something that I want to touch on when you say that you took a break, we need to listen to ourselves, listen to our bodies as to what it is that we need before we can be everything to everyone, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. I had a very dear friend and mentor who has been a dear friend for many years. It's about 2014. And he passed away, and that's been very difficult for me in all sorts of ways to handle. And I just literally allowed myself to grieve. And so I have listened to my body, to what I needed to do, and I took some time out to be with whatever came up for me.
Thank you, Caroline. And we're sorry for your loss. Philip Chan was an amazing person. I never met him except, virtually, but yet he was so good and so kind. He helped me in so many ways. He brought so many people to this platform. So he is definitely missed by many people.
Yes.
Caroline, I want to ask you a question. And again, this is the listening mentor, so it's all about listening. But when you did listen to your body and listen to what it was that you needed, were you struggling at all with feelings of confliction, maybe about guilt or frustration in the fact that you were going to do something good for yourself? Because sometimes we do that. We don't want to give ourselves permission.
I used to be like that, so I absolutely understand what you're saying. Unfortunately, I've done so much work on myself that I can't be like that. I have to be totally true to myself. And it did mean that I just took days out. Sometimes I was okay. Some days I was fine. Some days I wasn't. And I listened. And if I felt like crying, I cried in public. And it was I just allowed it, and it wasn't hard for me. But then I've been doing what I do for 21 years. So I'm comfortable to be my true self, my true authentic self, no matter how difficult it might appear to other people.
Thank you for your transparency. And I think it's motivating to other people, because we are not all where you are, right? You've worked for years to get to where you are. And sometimes it takes that first step of realizing that we need help. We need to talk to a coach. We need to talk to a mentor. We need to talk to an expert. And that's okay, isn't it?
Absolutely. There's no wrongs. There's only what is. And we're all human. Even after 21 years, even I struggle and get challenged with stress and with things that happen that are difficult. We're going through some extraordinary times in our world today, and everybody is being affected in all sorts of ways. And bereavements, sadness is something that many people are coping with right now, and perhaps we haven't been taught in school how to cope with those kinds of experiences. We just get on with it, and in Britain particularly, we have this stiff upper lip that we're not supposed to express our feelings and emotions, and just carry on. Unfortunately, I didn't feel that I could carry on, and I don't feel guilty or uncomfortable about that. I just feel real, and sometimes we do need permission. And frequently, when I have calls from people that have had a bereavement, I actually do say to them, sometimes you just need, it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to grieve in whatever way is right for you, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's heartache, loneliness. It doesn't matter how it is. It's your way. There is no real way, only your personal way.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm wondering, as we transition into listening and listening skills. So let's say someone is grieving and they really need to talk to someone. They feel they need to share what they're feeling. And they go to talk to someone, and that person doesn't give them the space and time that they need. And they end up walking away feeling unheard, and now even worse than they felt before. So let's talk about some strategies and tips for being an effective listener. What do you think are some of the wonderful talents that you have? What are the things that you do when you're holding space for someone to speak to you?
That's a beautiful analogy, holding space. That's exactly what I do, hold space. And when you literally allow the person to speak without interrupting, that's really key, without saying anything or judging or trying to be something that that person you think needs to hear, literally being the sounding board, being there to hear their every word is critical to them, because sometimes all they need is somebody to hear, somebody to literally listen, actively listening, not thinking or analyzing or trying to solve their problem, literally actively listening without thinking or analyzing or problem solving. And that sometimes is quite difficult, that when you literally bear yourself open to listen, it's profound what you will experience as the listener and what the listener experiences. And they will feel better, different, heard. And you didn't say anything. Their experience will be truly, profoundly amazing and deep and relaxing and beneficial to them, because they're not looking for you to solve their problem. Sometimes it's literally about being there, being open to receive what they want to say, and they will feel lighter and easier because you listened.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I love the way that you summed that up. So let's look at a possible scenario, because I know this has happened to me. I don't know if it's happened to you, but it does happen. I come to you with something that I really need to get off my chest. And you say to, I'm not saying you, just in general, just a role play. And you say to me, well, what do you expect? I've been telling you for years that this was going to happen, and now it's happened. It's your fault. Deal with it.
What would I do?
Saying,
I would.
Yeah, so people shut each other down, right? We shut each other down with our own comments and our own, chit chat.
That's not good. And when somebody does that to you, that is not your stuff. It is theirs. It is their ego that's responding, because there is there for them a need to be right. That's the blame game. When you're in the blame game of you're wrong, I'm right, then there are no winners, there are only losers. And the person that's saying those things is not rewarding themselves or the other person. It only makes them feel bad, and that it lowers their energy and their frequency and the other person's. And when the person is responding in that way, there is something that's not working for them. There's something that's going on in terms of what's not working, what's wrong for them, and they're pushing their stuff onto you. And if you're in that position that you're being received in that way, I would literally listen and give them compassion and walk away. Do what they haven't done. I would listen to what they have to say and know that there is some trauma in their lives.
Thank you. That's really well said. I think that there are many times when if you are observing, let's say you're in a public forum, you're at a family get together, whatever the case is, and you see two people interacting and you can see them feeding off each other. So one person's upset about something and the other person's not really listening. They're taking it as a personal attack. And then the voices start to get louder and louder, and people are leaning in towards each other, and the volume just keeps going up because they're basically feeding off each other. So Caroline, in the work that you do, and also how you are as a person, if someone comes to you in that frame of mind, they're already worked up, how do you keep yourself from feeding the fire, fueling the fire, so to speak?
I call this the energy dance. It's the one-upmanship. When each voice raises over the other person's, it's because they want to be heard and they're not feeling that they're heard. And it's a win-lose game that's being played, which isn't good for either party. And I would invite the person that comes to see me or that speaks to me is that look at what's going on for them and change their response and their behavior to the other person. And if they're feeling angry, it is their anger. There is something that's inside of them that's come up for them to handle. That's from the past. That's something that's not current. It's just come up in terms of the current situation. But there will be a very old situation. And I always ask them to look at what's the earliest recollection that they have of experiencing or feeling like this, feeling that anger, not being heard, and raising their voice to be heard. And usually it's something that stems way back, generally in their teens or childhood, of their earliest recollection. So somebody can be like sort of in their 50s, and I can take them back to, sometimes when they're like sort of 3 or 4 or 5, of when they felt that they weren't being heard, or feeling angry, or feeling that the world is against them. And so what happens is that this kind of situation keeps occurring for them to learn and for them to respond and release the emotions and feelings from that period of time so that they don't keep repeating the pattern.
Wow, so many gems that you are bringing to our audience today. I really appreciate it. Let's take a step back and talk about when I asked you to take the power of listening, parts 1 and 2. I'd love for you to share authentically with our audience. What were the reasons that you decided to take it? Was it because you wanted to support my work, or you had some interest in the topic? What was it?
Even though I've been working in this field for 21 years, I don't feel that I know everything, and it makes me very comfortable being the forever student. And I'm not walking around saying, I know that, so I don't need to do this again. I'm very open. And so one of the reasons that I did it was because you're American, and I may learn something from you that I didn't learn, in my other trainings. And time has moved on since I first started doing my work 21 years ago. I consistently train with different people, and I consistently work with coaches and mentors. Why? Because we're evolving and changing all of the time. And who I was even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago is really different. Who I was 1 year ago is completely different to who I am now. And I really do say that hand on heart, we're many layers of many things. And I feel that with each day, there is new things, new ways, and new experiences that change the very nature of who we're being and who we are. And so every day is an opportunity to learn something new. So when I came to your trainings, I came open. I came in a place of being the student and receiving and listening, because I'm sure that there would have been gems, and now I've done the training, that are incredible gems, because your training is showing me a different way of taking in the experiences of listening, actively listening, in a way that I hadn't trained before. Role plays are really funny. It's always good to work with the Americans.
That is a point that I hadn't actually thought about until you just said that. But I, as the facilitator and the creator of the courses, I also learned so much, because there are many people from outside the United States, and everyone has different background, different foundational learnings. So I think also the interaction that we all had with each other is really priceless.
Absolutely. I did have an American boyfriend for a little while, and we would have dinner together and we'd be talking, and I would say something to him, sort of the British girl, phrases, and he would turn around and say, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? And I've shared a joke with him, and he says, well, can you explain that? And I says, we're speaking English, and yet we hear different things, because different things mean different things. Even though we are still speaking English language, our expressions and our understandings of words are different. And so there was a lot to learn. It was fun and it was challenging at times. And since 1992, I've been trained by Americans. So that gives me some scope for being a little American too. I'm very straight. I say it as it is. If I'm not happy, then I will say. If I'm sad, I will say. And there's times that I'm very British too. So I'm a polite American. I feel. I do say I'm sorry and excuse me and please and thank you, because I'm still really English, but I'm very straight to the point, very direct between the eyes. And that's the training and the wonderful people that I have trained with, the wonderful mentors that I've had over the years. I feel very privileged and very blessed to have had the kind of mentors and trainers that I've experienced and worked with.
I really appreciate you, especially your openness to learn and to learn from different people. And even though you are so well learned and learned yourself, you just continue to be open to getting more and more knowledge. We have a comment. Our friend from the last show is back, Michael Green. Nice to see you. He writes, that's true. We learn every day. Exactly. So, Caroline, one thing I've noticed about the British, and it actually, I've seen it again and again. I've met so many lovely people from the UK as a result of this platform. There are a lot of analogies and metaphors that are used on a regular basis. And, one I heard, and I didn't even know what it was. It's something about what it says on the tin. I had to actually look it up.
You just get them to explain it to you, I mean, I had the privilege of having an American boyfriend who was an absolute darling. We did have this strange interaction where I'm thinking I'm sharing a joke, and then I have to explain it so it's not funny anymore. And he's doing the same to me. And we did have this very strange communication of love and gorgeousness, of kind of that fun adventure. And I felt like I was really probably talking to a Frenchman most of the time, because I really had to explain myself. And we do have are sayings, and what it says on the tin is a very British, thing to say, and it is, sort of, if this can of paint is going to whitewash your wall, this can of paint will whitewash your wall. If this is going to, this can of paint promises, actually says on the tin, it will grease and oil your doors. That's exactly what it does. And, we're very, I think the British can be quite literal at times. And we do like our metaphors because we're not straight talking. And that's a truism of the British, and I am very British, born here. And I would say that we would rather than upset someone, we will pussyfoot around the edges and give them all the nice things rather than saying it as it really is. And that's why we have a lot of metaphors, because genuinely we don't want to offend or upset someone. And so we're kind and we're nice, but we're not being nice really, because we're not telling them the truth. It's a funny world. It really is, especially being British. It really is.
That's a really good point. And I'm thinking to myself, when I got certified as a life coach, one of the things that we learned was about different communication styles. And I know I have it in that big binder that I got from the course. There's a page in there where I have that people who speak in metaphors are usually highly intelligent.
Oh, right. Wow. Well, it could be training too. I wouldn't want to. People that speak in metaphors, I would say, are very visual. So they paint pictures in words. So if I said something like, what a glorious day, what a glorious sunny day we're having today. It's just like summer solstice. So it's now the 3rd of December. And if I said, what a glorious summer day, it's just like the summer solstice day, then that paints a picture for you to go back to the 21st of June. And you straight away feel what I'm saying, because you're feeling and seeing it, because it's a picture painted in words. And I believe that you can learn to do that. And also, if you are a visual person, you will talk in pictures. I'm not sure that intelligence is a marker for it, but it's an interesting concept. It'd be interesting for you to gauge and do some research on people that talk in metaphors, how intelligent they really are.
Yes, I'm going to take on a research project, and that'll be it. But I am now highly aware of the fact, where I wasn't before, since I started broadcasting last year, that many people I meet from the UK, or people who are British, I should say, speak in metaphors. So I thought, I guess they're all highly intelligent based on
I'm going to bust that myth for you. We're just super visual, and the people that are really visual, and so they see things, they see what you're saying, they like the vision of what you have. So they talk in seeing words, so they paint pictures in words. Are visual, but the people that say, I like the sound of that, that sounds really good to me, they're hearing people, they're auditory people. I'm very auditory, and I'm quite visual too. But auditory is my thing, so when I have my headset, when I listen to music and I really want to listen to something, I have my headset on loud because I want to really hear. But I'm also visual too, but my primary is visual. So I'm not convinced that it's a sign of intellect. I just feel that we all have different preferred styles of communicating and learning. I feel a lot these days, and I've learned to feel. So I will say things like, I like the feel of that, or that feels good to me, or this feels like a good event for me to go to. And so rather than thinking about it, and rather than sounding it out, like making it sound sense, I'm actually saying, this feels good, I'm going to go. And so, and you will hear all these different styles, and they're styles of listening. and styles of communicating. And so we can listen in different ways. We can listen verbally, so auditory. We can listen through what we see, and we can listen through our feelings. So there are many ways that we can listen rather than just listening through our ears, auditory.
I've noticed myself in alignment with what you just shared, which I think is spectacular. I am going by how I feel more than what I think. Does it feel good in my body? Does it feel like I should be doing this? And I feel like that's aligned with intuition. I'm not certain, but I know that that's how I'm making a lot of decisions instead of how I used to make them by driving myself crazy, analyzing every aspect of it and writing it all down. And the Ben Franklin close with the positives and the negatives. And so,
oh, that's headaches. You don't want to be doing that. My fingers fail too. And when we were born babies, and we weren't born with the thinking mind. We were born sensory. So we were born feeling and experiencing and seeing and hearing. So when you're feeling, that's our baby. We were all born this way, feeling and sensory. But when we go up into our mind and we think and we analyze and we try and work it out, that's because we've learnt to do that. It's not actually the best way because it's difficult, and you can like sort of tear your head out. You can go round and round in your head and never get anywhere. You'll never find the solution because the mind usually analyzes everything to death. And, I have some clients that I say, yeah, you'd probably analyze your way out of a paper bag, wouldn't you? And they laugh because there's another metaphor for you. And they laugh because they say, yeah, how right you are. I'll analyze everything because this is a mechanism of protection, to be in the thinking analytical mind is a protection mechanism so you don't feel. But when you move out of the thinking conversation analytical mind into the heart, then there is no mind, and then all there is peace. And this is how we can connect and communicate in a much more beautiful and peaceful way, and a much more heart-centered and heart connection way, because the heart is also a brain. It is also a peaceful brain, and it is how we're born.
Wow, that was so moving. Beautiful.
I do these things because I feel.
And you obviously feel very deeply. I want to just tag on to something you just said, which is when we're being really analytical, if you and I are having a conversation and I'm listening, but I'm analyzing everything that you're saying, I'm thinking about and analyzing, I'm actually no longer listening to you, right? Because
Absolutely.
now I'm in my head instead of holding space for you. And I told you that I would listen. So one thing I just want to talk about before we close out our show is if you want to be an effective listener, if you want to be an elevated listener, many times you have to be realistic about how available you are. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, and here's a perfect example, backstage before the show started, you were speaking to me and I said, I have to let you know, I'm not listening fully right now because I'm doing something else. And I wanted you to know that because I care about what you have to say. But at that moment, I wasn't able to give you the respect that you deserve. And I think that's something that people should realize. If you want to be seen as an effective listener, if you want to be an effective listener, you can't always be effectively listening because you have to live your life as well. You have things you have to do. So many times it makes sense to ask for permission. Caroline, is this a good time for me to talk to you for about 10 or 15 minutes?
Oh, absolutely. I love that. But sometimes we don't think about the permission because we're so full of what we want to say that we just say it. And I really valued the fact that you said, I can't fully listen to you because I'm doing something else. That's a really cool, responsive letting me know. It's very compassionate to let me know that, hey, now is not a good time. I'm really sorry, and I will be available for you, in a few minutes. It's a very compassionate response, because it honors you as the person that's doing something else, and it honors the other person as well. And sometimes I can't be, listening because I'm doing something else, or I'm trying to work out the tech on something, which I frequently end up trying to sort out. The bane of my life. But, when I focus on something, I really do, and I get it done. And I can't be doing 2 or 3 things at the same time. I know that there is conversation about being multitasking. But if you're analysing what somebody's saying, you're absolutely not listening to them, because while you're analysing and thinking and problem solving what they're saying, it means that you're also in a thinking conversation. So you're also in conversation. So there's no way that you can absolutely hear what the other person has to say. There's just no way you can do that.
And that's a great point. We actually did a role play of this in one of our courses. I forget which one, but I was reading something at the same time that the other person was talking. And so each of us I was reading out loud, and so we were both supposed to be listening. Neither one of us was listening, and I had no idea what the other person was saying. Also, I noticed in a couple of my courses, people are taking the course, right? They're paying money to take the course to learn how to listen, but the whole time they're on their phone. And I'm thinking, this is the same way they are in real life, right? Somebody's talking to them and they're on the phone thinking that, oh yeah, I can do this and that. No, you really can't. You can't. You're not being respectful to the other person. And my whole point is about finding peace for yourself and also world peace, is that if we actually were listening to each other, authentically listening, I think there would be a lot less discord in the world. What are your thoughts?
I'm in total agreement with you, because when we create space for the other person, the interesting thing is we created space for ourselves too. And when we listen with our whole heart, something incredible happens to us. But while we're disconnected in our phones, in our technology, and not being with the other person, there's a disconnect within ourselves as well as the other person. And so many times I've actually gone out for dinner, or spent time with people, and on Zoom even, or in phone calls, and people have said, I don't know what it is with you, time just goes real quick. And my response to that is a smile, because I know why it goes quick, because when you're connected, when you're in a deep connection with somebody, there is no time. Time is not linear. Time is a mind construct, and it doesn't exist when you're not in the thinking conversational mind. So time does fly when you're having fun. And so to be actively listening, being there for the other person, you're also being there for yourself too. And that is the greatest gift you can give yourself and anyone else.
Very well said. It reminds me of something that happened yesterday. As I didn't think of it at the time as an example of ineffective or effective listening. So, in addition to co hosting the shows, I produce them. And in my role as a producer, there's all this equipment here that I have to manage. And there's all these things here on the side of StreamYard that I have to take care of. So I started the show yesterday or Wednesday, and there were 2 other hosts and then 3 guests. And no one had headsets on. So, there's a lot of interference. They had their phones there. So when I started the show and I started playing the trailer, I could hear Alcini, the voiceover. I could hear his voice 3 times. So it's like, Dr. Jacalyn, Dr. Jacalyn, Dr. Jacalyn, and then whatever the next sentence was. So then I have to start the show, and Ian and Helena were here, and I hear everybody 3 times. And it made me think, when I think back on it, I thought I was going to go insane. I couldn't understand what anyone was saying at all. And I still had to produce the show. So it's sort of like multitasking is where I'm going with this. So I actually had to take myself out of the stream, still listening to the headsets with the triplication, and produce the show. And when I think back on it, that's how life is, that if we're doing all these things at the same time, I couldn't be a show host because I couldn't understand what anyone was saying. And I couldn't produce because I didn't know when to cut to go to the commercials, because I didn't know when they actually finished speaking because it was repeating. So my point is that is an example of many things happening at one time and not being able to do any of them well. So when we try to listen and do other things, we're not being effective. We're not being authentic.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, just before our show started, there was an echo, and I said, I've left my phone in the room. I don't have any tech plugged in here apart from the laptop and the lighting. I don't have anything else that would cause that. But I left my phone in, and you had feedback, and I said, I know what it is. I'll just take out my phone. And then we had perfect sound. And if that creates an echo, imagine how it affects us as people in our everyday, just us, ourselves. If it creates an echo with two people on one laptop in technology, you in the US and me here in the UK, how much of an effect that has on everything and everyone. It's not good. It really isn't. I don't have a lot of tech, and the tech that I do have, I have to have. and sometimes it doesn't work because my vibration, usually when I'm meditating, which is a lot, the vibration of the meditation is higher than the technology. So it has effects. So I'm very conscious about keeping the tech very clean and clear. And many people that are doing incredible soundtracks and meditations that are really using technology have challenges sometimes with technology. And that is because their vibration of what they're doing is higher than the technology. And so there will be interference of the technology. Mm-hmm. I always smile when that happens because I'm in awe of the fact that they can do these things and do them well, because I can't always do them well. And I am rising above that I can't and making it work because I really need to reach people and help more people. And this is the way to do it. And so I'm getting over my fears, because when technology doesn't work, it's okay.
It is okay. Technology can be, my mom's, one of her favorite words is scary. It's scary. I don't think it's scary. I think it's all energy, and we can't control it. So when something happens with the technology, like the example yesterday, I could have said, hey, we're canceling the show. I could have just popped on and said, hey, sorry, I can't hear anything. I'm getting a headache. We just have to cancel. But I thought the technology gods are out there and the show's going to keep going and it'll be okay. I just gave myself some grace. I just believed things were going to work out. And so they did. What I'd really like for people watching and listening to take away from this program is that Jacalyn Heward is incredibly gifted. She is a person who has probably the biggest heart of anyone I've ever met. And she really does care about people. She's very respectful. She's very receptive. She's very open. And I wish that you reach out to her. I was going to say, work with her, reach out to her, because she can definitely help you get in touch with who you really are at your core. Maybe there are things blocking you from being all that you can be. Maybe there are things you want to accomplish that you're just struggling because you're kind of stuck somewhere. Jacalyn, talk a little bit, please, about your work with the chakras.
I've been trained in this chakra psychology, so how the mind and body connects and what happens to the person physically, emotionally, mentally, behaviorally when there's an imbalance. And the imbalance is the symptom. And if you're not sure what that is, it's what you're complaining about. So if you're complaining about back pain, neck pain, throat problems, rashes, skin problems. So those are the physical things. Emotional things like sadness, loneliness, heartache, OCD type things, so behavioral things. So whatever you're complaining about, there could be relationship challenges, there could be things not working in terms of you feeling stressed or anxious or depressed. And whatever those things are that you're complaining about is an imbalance in something that you're not handling. And usually it's been caused a long time ago, and there's repeats of those experiences. And so what I do is I help you understand what the root cause is. So I work out the root cause of where this was the earliest time it happened. So it literally disintegrates that pattern so you don't keep suffering with those issues. But we're many layers. We're like an onion. We're extremely layered. And so when one issue clears, then something else will surface. But what it means is that you become more and more yourself and more calmer and more peaceful because you become more connected with your heart and with your sensory rather than in that fight and that battle of the mind and the stress and the physical, emotional exhaustion.
So glad to have you as my friend, and so glad that you're here today. I really do respect you and appreciate you.
And I do respect and appreciate you too. You are an incredible person for what you do and what you stand for, what you're achieving. I really honour everything that you do because you're doing something, you're providing a platform for incredible people to share their gifts. And that is truly amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to give people a little bit of information as we close out the show. So Caroline is an elevated listener, which means that she completed the Power of Listening parts 1 and 2. She also took the quiz and got 100%. And in addition, she took the Power of Listening part 3. So we actually have 4 courses. We're going to have 10 altogether. So if you would like to work on your listening skills, if you'd like to have deeper connections, better relationships, and just more authenticity in your life, we would love to have you join us by booking your ticket on the Power of Listening. All you have to do is go to eventbrite.com, put in the Power of Listening, and you'll see our courses there. We do have a promo going. If you use the code ELEVATED, elevated, you get a discount. So and some other things. Once you are certified, you are able to come onto this program and join us. Mr. Alcini and Hyatt Ives are going to be on every Wednesday in December, and we're going to be talking business. Hopefully Caroline will come back again and she could be a regular as well. And yes, please do. We also have a new game show coming out that is only for people who have completed 1, 2, and 3 of the Power of Listening courses. So it's going to be like Listening Feud. I don't know if you have Family Feud over there, or have you heard of that show?
No, I haven't. That's a new one on me. Mind you, I don't watch a lot of television, so
I know. It's I don't even know if it's still on, but it was on for years. So we're going to have a game show, and we'd like people to join us. But again, you need to take courses 1, 2, and 3 and pass the quiz. And finally, I am writing a book. I'm about to start. It'll be my 3rd book, and it's about teaching children how to listen. And elevated listeners like Caroline will be the characters in the book. So each elevated listener can select an animal that they think represents them, and they will be included in the book as the animal of their choice.
You're amazing. Sounds like fun.
So I'm excited about that. Caroline, we have been putting your information in the contacts comment section. I'm sorry, but for people listening on Business Talk Radio, what is the best way to reach you, and who should reach out to you?
You can reach me on my email, which is nomorestress@live.co.uk. That's the 3 words, nomorestress@live.co.uk, and book in a free telephone or Zoom consultation. I'm on WhatsApp on +44 794. I'm going to have to put that in the comment.
I'll read it. +44 7523 120 189. I'll read that again. +44 7523 120 189.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And anybody that wants to reach out, that feels stressed, that feels anxious, that feels depressed, anybody that's suffering with any physical, emotional, or mental pain. I offer a free consultation. It's probably better if you're international on Zoom or Skype, and it really works. You know, you will feel more relaxed, and you will feel a liberation from the stress that you're feeling. So please do take advantage of that, because it will change things for you.
Absolutely. And just let our audience know that I have had a session with Caroline. I felt much, much better afterwards, and I'll be having another one with her as well here in the near future. So I highly recommend that you contact her in any of these ways. We are going to close out our show. Today, I have not played one sponsorship the whole day because I've been so engrossed in the conversations. I'm not even watching the time. I'm a terrible producer. We are going to watch a music video from Madeline Chan. And Caroline and I wish you a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. Caroline, last words for our audience today?
Listen with your heart, because when you listen with your heart, you will find a deep level of inner peace. And this is how we create world peace. If we all move into our hearts, we transcend all stress and anxiety. And that transcends into our families, our environment, our communities. And there is how we can create world peace.
Love it. Beautiful. All right. Thank you, everyone. Here's Madeline Chan, and we'll be back for the Pet Psychic Show at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. I almost said British Summer Time. Okay. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Here I am, here I go. Watch me now, I'm out of control. Here I am, here I go. Watch me now, I'm out of control. Your soul, feel the step and fire moving up and down, out of control. Feel the sweet desire, let the music start to free your soul. Feel the step and fire moving up and down and out of control. Feel the sweet desire, let the music start to free your soul. Feel the step and fire moving up and down, out of control. Feel the sweet desire, let the music free your soul. Let the music start to free your soul. what you're giving me is just not enough. I need a love to take me higher and higher and higher. Every step I take, I feel more awake. Getting closer now, I feel so alive. Stopping me, this